if I'm with my family and we're walking at the shops, I'm usually 10, 15 steps ahead because I just can't wait. I can't wait for people to catch up. Even little Kenzie trying to run all the time, trying to catch up to me. I just can't wait. Even we eat fast as a family. If we go out for dinner, 5-10 minutes, that's it. That's the max that we could stay at the dinner table. That's pretty much it. It gets there, we eat, especially if you see us on a shared plate. It's on. Shared plate, everyone's in there, because if you take a breath, I will take more bites than you, and so you better not take a breath, so we would eat. I don't know if you're the same with me, but I rarely see the number 0 on the microwave. Because I'll turn it on, and it goes 3, 2, stop. Not on my watch, buddy. Like it's like, and I just eat the food, whatever the temperature, and I love eating it. You'll eat it like, icy. And I just eat it. Even my toast, I cancel it before it gets to any sort of, I love my toast cold and soft. That's my favorite toast. And so whenever Charis makes toast, it's like surprising to me because it's unfamiliar texture. It's like crunchy and hot. It's unfamiliar. I live such a rushed life because I want to move on to the next activity and to the next activity, and I just want to do that. Even when I was working on the field, I got reprimanded because I worked too fast. Yes, I got reprimanded for working too fast. I rushed a lot of things, and interestingly enough, when I got reprimanded about that, I was like, so you're telling me I'm working too fast? Like, that's an odd thing to reprimand someone about. And then that same week, I was rushing through a job and I cut my hand, almost killing myself. And I'm like, oh, that's what it meant. Completely, unrelated. Like, it hasn't really slowed me down, but I just I need to finish it because I got to move to the next activity and I got to move to the next one and to the next one. And so I'm always rushing, and I don't know why that is. It's just built in me. Maybe it's because when we were growing up, my mom would tell me, it's like, you're very, very slow boy. You bring dishonor to our family. If you hear her, that's how she talks. Like, it's just that. There's seats over here. If you people at the back, there's seats over here at the front. So when I heard this book, maybe 2-3 years ago, the title is The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Zero appeal. Like, I've heard this book years ago, and when I heard the title, I go, irrelevant. Because I actually consider my pace and hurry as an asset, as a strength of mine, that I could go through anything, leave a lot of damage, but it gets the job done, and I thought, that's an asset. Why would I want to eliminate it? Because it's something that has served me really well. And we live in a very fast-paced society. Everything is changing all the time. By the time you understood something, it's already different. During a season where it was, hey, there's this new digital currency, Bitcoin, now it's happening, and I'm like, I don't understand it, and before I understood it, it's gone. And it's something else. I was like, what's going on? It's so fast. It's so fast-paced. And if you don't keep up, you'll get left behind. And in the last week, we were able to experience a forced slowdown. In the pandemic, there was a forced lockdown that forced everyone to live slow. It just stripped away most, if not all, our commitments. And it positioned us in a place where you were alone in your thoughts. That you had time, ample time with your family. That you could just sit there and think. And it stripped away everything. And what it brought was a moment of clarity. Clarity that not everything was going so well. The marriages that we thought were so strong weren't so strong. Because people spent time with each other and realized, I don't like you so much. Because life just slowed down. And it gave us a moment of clarity, which was very surprising. Unsurprisingly, is now that that's finished, here we are, filling up our lives again, full to the brim. You audit our time, your time, I audit my time, and I watch it get full every single hour. We constantly tell our kids, get off your device, be bored. While you're eating, just eat. Don't watch. Because we're just filling it. Our lives and our minds and our attention constantly being filled with more and more things, more and more information that during the lockdown period wasn't that important anyway. And you realize all the things that you thought, I have to do this, otherwise everything falls apart. During the lockdown, not much things fell apart. You not doing the thing that you did allowed the world to continue, and it still continues. And in this scripture today, Jesus is saying, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. Yoke is like for the cows, yeah. And they put it around, it's a burden, it's work. It's saying, take my work upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Jesus is offering us a life that is easy and light, yet we forfeit it for things that are heavy and hard. We build our lives doing the things that Jesus did not call us to do, and then we wonder why we're full of anxiety. We wonder why we're full of pressure. You wonder why there's so much burnout, because we disregard the burden and yoke that Jesus has given us, which is easy and light, and replaced it for something hard and heavy. So we have a problem. The problem is hurry is the great enemy of spiritual life. And it sounds trivial because hurry, enemy of spiritual life. How could that be? You'd think cults, that would be an enemy. Satan, like that would be a great enemy. Sin, that would be a nice solid enemy. But hurry, sounds weak. That's like your enemy. Hurry is your enemy. And there's a quote from Corrie ten Boom. She's used to be, I forgot what her previous background was, but became a Christian writer. And her quote is, if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. I was like, oh, okay. How? How can you do that? And if you think about it, sin and busyness will yield the same outcome. It will both disconnect you from God. If you're sinful, you have shame, you want to stay away from God, and so you don't approach Him. If you're busy, you don't have time for God, and it disconnects you from Him. And we make it a bit more relevant in the examples. You don't have to be abusive to your kids for that relationship to break. You just have to be busy enough to not be able to pay attention to them. And it will yield the same results. The relationship will drift further apart. You don't have to betray a friend. You don't have to do that. You just have to be busy enough that you cannot hang out with them. And what's the typical stories? Like, oh, we got too busy and we just drifted apart. Close friends drifted apart. Not because someone has sinned the other, it's just they got too busy and they drifted apart. Even in your relationships, you don't have to cheat on your partner. You just have to be busy enough to not be present in your marriage, and it will yield the same results. You'll start to drift apart, and your marriage, your relationship will be destroyed. Same outcome. Scary that hurry is a great enemy. And see, the problem isn't when you have a lot to do. Because there's a lot of things to do. You got to do your job. You got to run your kids' errands. If anyone else, you got to do chores, pay bills. There's a lot of things to do. The problem is when you have too much to do that you rush through the things that need the most time. That suddenly you can't focus on this because you got to move on to the next thing. And we have all been there, where you're in a conversation, but your mind is somewhere else because you got to do that thing after this thing. And so you're rushing this thing to move it along. I do it all the time. When someone's speaking slow, I'm like, today, Junior, like, it's so long. Why is your story so long? Like, I know the ending. Can I end your story? And I'm rushing it because what is the next point? What is the next point? Rather than just kind of like sitting and listening and realizing, yeah, I knew this was the ending anyway. Like, it's just appreciating the person talking to me. And here's a relationship equation. If you go fast, relationship growth goes slow and shallow. The faster you do relationship, the slower it gets and the shallower it gets. But if you go slow and you take the time and you pour heaps of time into it, it goes fast and deep because you're able to develop the trust it requires, the time that it requires. And all the people that are love languages of quality time is like, yep, knew it. That's why I want quality time, because that's what it does. And the critical building block for relationship is love. Love is critical, otherwise relationships cannot exist. And when Jesus was asked, what is the most important commandment? Here it is, he's going to summarize the Bible. What is the most important commandment, Jesus? He says, love God and love your neighbor. Once you do that, you got it. You understand it. Once you do that, you got it. And here's the critical junction point. Hurry and love is incompatible. They do not mix. You can't love someone and rush it. Love is patient. Love is extremely inconvenient. Love cannot be scheduled. You can't go, I love you from 8 to 9, and then from 9 to 10, I'm going to do this thing again, and I love you. 12:30 to 1, I'll be like over there, like I'll be free. I've got open space in my heart to bring you in, you know? But that's about it. You can't schedule it. And I need to look no further of what this looks like than when I drop off my kids in the morning. If the kids wake up late, looks completely different when we have time. When the kids wake up late to go to school, this is the scenario. I'll be like, wake up, pull the blankets off, like all of them. I'll just pull it off and then drag them, put them on the ground or put them on the thing, like make it really uncomfortable for them so that they get up, or put them in the thing and then cook the food, put it on the plate, whether it's hot or not, like eat it, hurry up, now brush your teeth, hurry up, now go put your shoes, hurry up, and then I'm driving to school, and then there, my kids at the back is already arguing because I've set up a environment where it's a bit tense, and then we get to the school and I go, get up, I'll see you later in the afternoon. Yeah, that's for real. That's not a hypothetical scenario. That is for real. Because I'm thinking, I gotta get back home because I got a meeting, I got an email to respond. After they leave the car, I'm already responding to an email. Already. And I'm like, okay, now drive back home and then have a nap. No, I didn't. Stressful. It's too stressful. In comparison to when they wake up early. We wake them up and like, hey, baby. Hey, Dad. Kenzie. Kenzie was like, oh, I'm so tired. I used up all my energy yesterday because they had a sports going on Thursday. Oh, it's okay, babe. The good thing about energy is that it replenishes. If you eat, come on, baby, let's eat. And this is not hypothetical as well. This is how I'm talking to them. It's nice and early. They're like, sit down, what do you want to eat? And then we feed them. And what was your dream? How was it? And then we talk and chat because there's time. And there's margin. And so there's no rush. And then we get to the school, they go, we still got 15 minutes. Do you guys want to go to the park? Because there's a park next to the school. They go, go do a monkey bars. I'm so proud of you. You did the monkey bars. Now have a good day at school. I'll see you later in the afternoon. Completely different. Exactly the same activity. But one is hurried and one has time. And you could think about the same thing in your lives when you're hurried. You're not pleasant. You're not loving. When you're hurried, those things do not exist. When you're late for something, just watch your time. My time. Watch my time. That's why I drive separate cars to my family, because I don't want my turn to go hey, I'm ready, I'm nice and early, so I'm going to go to church early, so it's going to be pleasant, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And so it doesn't mix. Hurry and love doesn't mix. And so the question to you is, do you want a deep and meaningful relationship with God? Do you want a deep and meaningful relationship with your loved ones, with your kids, with your wife, with your husband, with your friends? If the answer is yes, then you must take the foot off the accelerator and just let it cruise. Oh, that's hard. Type A personalities out there, they're like, this is the worst message I've ever heard. This is horrible. Surely this is a lie. It is not a lie. This is the message for today. You have to take your foot off the accelerator if those are the things that you want. If you want the things that Jesus is giving, the pace is walking. Can you imagine Jesus had to save the world and spread the gospel message, and he's taking a donkey? Bro, take a horse. Come on, take 4 horses, chariots, go. But he just decided, I'm walking. Someone's dying and needs him desperately. Be I'll see him tomorrow. The pace that Jesus lived was to touch people's lives in a slow and meaningful manner. And he was able to change the world. And he invites us to the same thing. And so, what's the application? What's the application here? Because, hey Ken, that sounds like a horrible thing to do, but I am wanting the result. I do want a meaningful relationship. I do want strong relationships that I can enjoy. That every time I go home, I am happy because it's a sanctuary. It's not a place where it's tense. It's not a place where there's fighting and arguing. I want to be in a place where there's sanctuary, and I want those deep and meaningful relationships. I want to be able to hear from God. I want to read the scriptures and be able to receive and hear from God. Then slow down and take your foot off the accelerator. The application is spend uninterrupted time with your loved one. Spend uninterrupted time with your loved one. What does that mean? That you spend a meal with someone where your phone is off, not silent, off, because even that buzz just catches your attention. You're wondering, I wonder who that was. Spend uninterrupted time with someone. I told this to Hallie last night. I go, hey, we're going to have to spend uninterrupted time at dinner time. I go, well, we're going to have dinner for 1 hour. And her response was, what are we going to do for 55 minutes? Because after we eat for 5 minutes, what are we going to do? I go, well, we're going to have to figure it out. Because if our family unit is going to be strong, we're going to have to pour in the time into it. Uninterrupted, exclusive time with them. Nothing else. And I'm thinking of the most boring activities at the moment, thinking maybe a puzzle, maybe. And I already feel it. The kids are going to fight. I know it. Because Kenzie is going to grab the piece, try to jam it to one place. Hannah's like, that's not how it goes. And then Katie's going to be like, you don't listen. I'll tell you if that happens. I feel like that's what's going to happen. and Charis is like, that's it. Hour finished. 15 minutes into it. That's it. We finished 1 hour. That's it. If you really want to grow your relationship with God, spend uninterrupted time with God. No time limits. Just reading and waiting and seeing and listening. And just uninterrupted time. Nothing else scheduled. You don't have back-to-back schedule that you have to do this after this. Some of you might use phones. I actually asked my mother-in-law, Tess, she's got daily breads down here, because I know if you do your devotion on your phone, the next notification comes out. It's like, let me just check that one. Okay, definitely not important. And let me check that one. Not important. So we have daily breads here, which it leads you through devotional time with God uninterrupted. You turn off your phone. Nothing else matters. You read it until He speaks to you. Uninterrupted time. And if you haven't yet, this is the book that we're going through, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. I've summarized 3 chapters just then, and I feel like I'm not doing it justice because there was so much information, so rich. He convinced you so well about how critical it is to not hurry. I think the books are still here, I'm not too sure. We still have copies of these ones. If you haven't yet, you read this book. Such an easy read. Nothing complicated, no theological debate that he's leading you to. It's just an invitation to live an unhurried life and experience the burden in life that Jesus has for us. I'll finish with the scripture. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Let's pray. Thank you so much, Jesus, for showing us how to live.